water on I-10. There's times where we have to slow down. We've seen some trees down covering some lanes too. So if you do decide to leave your home, which I probably wouldn't advise it, be very, very careful. It is extremely dangerous out here still. We saw some troopers blocking off an on-ramp to, I can't remember which exit it was, but it was near McClenny because there was just water everywhere. And even in the median, it's filled basically like a swimming pool in some areas. So if you do leave your home, please be very careful.
Yeah, and I think the best advice is to stay in place. Everyone is going stir crazy and wanting to get out and start to see or maybe return home if they fled to a local hotel just to get away from the peak of the storm. Now's not the time to do it. Let's let some waters recede. Christy Turner, you guys stay safe on the way back into Jacksonville eventually, and all the news crews who are out in the field working to tell the story about where some of the hardest hit and greatest impacts around Northeast Florida are. Just make sure you're doing it safely, everyone. Make sure that we're not turning into any water that that could have been a deadly occurrence for that individual who drove into just a little, what Christy described as a little patch of water, and then ultimately got swept into it. Thankfully, there was a good Samaritan right there, and they were able to pull that gentleman out. Obviously, he was shaken up. 340-1045 is our number if you have storm damage to report or you have rising water. Romney Smith with our partner Action News Jack is in the Black Creek area. She's been in Clay County for the better part of this duration of the storm event, and she not only is spotting flooding but also down trees. Let's listen into Romney here.
Black Creek, as I showed you over the past hour, has been flooding, and the water level has been rising and rising, but it's also causing massive issues for neighbors. Let me step out of the way and show you exactly what I'm talking about. This is a neighborhood. This is a road, and clearly you can see it is a creek right now. I spoke with a neighbor who lived nearby. He said he had to get his kayak to leave his home, and then he went to a friend's house and got a trailer. They are now in the process of all banding together to help rescue 5 people that are stuck down the street right now. So I did not have time to interview them right now because they have to get these people out. I am working on that. As soon as those people are rescued, we will try to bring that video to you. But as I said, this is a road. They said they're used to this. They said this was nothing like Hurricane Matthew. They said Hurricane Matthew, they could kind of drive by in their vehicles. It came a little high, but it wasn't bad. They said in the 20 years that this gentleman has lived right near Black Creek, I'm about a quarter of a mile away, he said he has never seen it quite this bad. And he also had some trees that fell over, and you can see them right over here, and he actually got out his chainsaw and was chopping them up this morning. And he said the reason is because if not, these things could have fallen onto people. They have a lot of kids in this neighborhood as well. So this neighborhood truly banding together because they said they're used to it. They know the rules of the water. They've lived in Black Creek for a long time. However, this is different. Hurricane, which now is Tropical Storm Irma, very different for them. So I'm going to work to interview in that video of them working together to rescue their neighbors in the Black Creek area, and we'll have that for you on air and online. Reporting in Black Creek, Romney Smith, CBS 47, Fox 30, Action News Jax.
Romney and the entire Action News Jax team, we appreciate everything that you all have been doing and feeding these reports both on TV and also through the radio, and we'll keep them going through the day today. You're listening to News 104.5 WOKV Jacksonville, WOKV FM Atlantic Beach, as we have been following some pretty significant flooding and storm damage from Hurricane Irma. You're listening to WAPE FM Jacksonville, WEZI Ponte Vedra Beach, WJGL Jacksonville, WXXJ Jacksonville, WJGL HD2 Jacksonville, and WOKV HD2 Jacksonville. Big picture here. I'm joined in studio by John Engel and also our hurricane expert Steve Litro, formerly with the National Weather Service. Romney just hit the nail on the head when she said they've never seen it like this, nothing like Matthew. That's why maybe you call it preachy from the emergency officials, but everyone said don't compare any two storms. Don't compare Irma to Matthew.
Esta es la 441, la carretera 441 del sur a norte, viniendo de Bellevue hacia Ocala. Básicamente hay tráfico. Veo que hay tráfico. No veo que hayan policías que estén parando el tráfico, desviando el tráfico, ya que ha pasado lo peor de Huracán Irma por Ocala, pero sí hay vientos fuertes. Así que para las personas no es que es aconsejable o recomendable salir, pero si tienen que por emergencia salir, pues creo que no hay ningún inconveniente por lo que yo veo hasta ahorita. Vemos algunas luces del semáforo que están apagadas, otras están prendidas. En algunas áreas se fue la luz. especialmente en el área donde me estoy quedando yo, se fue la luz. Pero básicamente hay tráfico, no sé, así que no sé en qué área te encuentras tú. Espero que todo esté bien por ahí, ¿no? Estamos aquí llegando por el Monroy, por la 441 del Monroy.
Yeah, well, the city of St. Augustine putting out this bulletin too. If you evacuated, still stay out of the city. If you chose to stay put. So they're trying to close off the entire city as they really assess the damage, see where it's safe to cross. Obviously, a number of bridges in northeast Florida have been closed because of this storm. So we'll get another update, I'm sure, in the coming minutes and hours from Tim Tompkins as we monitor those bridges and when they'll open up again. But authorities want to be able to have as much time and space as possible to get this all figured out so it's not too busy.
No, it's going to be the better part of the day before we ultimately get into that phase, wouldn't you think, Steve?
Yeah, it's going to take a while for these winds to die down, and it's really an example of a real mix. Once those winds start to come around more from the south, that's when we'll start seeing those winds decrease some, because instead of coming in off the water from the southeast like they've been, they'll be coming out of the south and coming up the peninsula where friction will have time to work on them and kind of beat them down some before they get up this way and get too high. The side of that, unfortunately, is that is the mechanism that is going to push all of that water that's been trapped in the southern portions of the St. John River back northward. From the National Weather Service in just a little bit, who's going to give us a good briefing.
Vemos algunas patrullas, algunos oficiales de policía que están dirigiendo el tráfico, ya que algunos semáforos en Ocala están down. Vemos gente caminando también, so significa que ya, digamos que ya está un poco seguro para poder andar en las calles.
Station kind of reason. It's media radio station. Now, News 104.5 WOKV, and make sure you go to WOKV.com for an ongoing story blog of Irma's impacts that includes photos and video and podcasts of some of the interviews. So if you missed hearing Jerry Boyce, if you missed hearing the governor's briefing, if you missed hearing from the Nassau County Emergency Manager, and that's really vital information for you.
Hay un restaurante abierto.
Consideration later. Entry into your community if you evacuated, just go to WOKV. Continues.
Coverage on Hurricane Irma. Keep listening to News 104.5 WOKV. You've got to be tired of looking at that broken or cracked windshield. It's time for you to see clearly again. If you have full coverage insurance, Auto Glass Now will fix your windshield at no cost to you. Plus, we'll even give you up to $100 just for choosing us. If you don't have insurance, no problem. Auto Glass Now is running a fall 50% off special, offering you the absolute lowest prices in town. So don't delay. Get your windshield fixed today. Call 904-364-0404. That's 904-364-0404. Auto Glass Now. Some restrictions may apply. Call us today for your free quote.
Hey, does your home's drinking water concern you? Does your often smell bad like chlorine or rotten eggs? Well, on any given day here in Jacksonville, well, you can't be sure that your water is safe to drink. Now, take control of your water right now. Call a uniformed Pelican in-home water specialist to tell you exactly what's in your home or your condo's water right here in Jacksonville. Now, Pelican is the largest salt-free water filtration company in the U.S. They are the best. Now, wait until you smell and you taste the Pelican difference with 99% chlorine-free, chemical-free, bacteria-free water. Now, older saltwater systems can't touch Pelican's performance. Now, with Pelican, there's no lugging bags of salt, no slippery water, or monthly fees. They get an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau with a 90-day limited money-back guarantee. So schedule your no-obligation in-home Pelican water assessment now. Call now, 904-500-SOLVE. That's 904-500-SOLVE. Or schedule it now at PelicanJacksonville.com.
When you owe the IRS, you can't pay. Call J. David Tax Law, a firm right here in Jacksonville for affordable IRS tax tax representation. J. David Tax Law can stop any IRS collection action and protect you from financial devastation. Call J. David Tax Law for a no-cost consultation at 507-4777. That's 904-507-4777. Or visit jdavidtaxlaw.com. Peace of mind is only a click or phone call away. When strong storms hit and your family is on the line, nothing beats accuracy. That's why more families trust Jacksonville's chief meteorologist, Mike Burris, and the action is Burris Alert 15, only on CBS 47 at 5:30. Station Mayport is celebrating its 75th anniversary this December. And because Mayport is such an important part of our area's history, News 1045 would like to salute its great history with Mayport Memories. Here's retired Captain Glenn Doyle.
It's been a huge part of our lives, but for the Jacksonville community, Mayport is the second largest seaport on the Atlantic coast. I think it's part of the character of Jacksonville as a military-centric city. It's a great city to be stationed in if you're military. I was a human resource guy in the military for a period of time, and Jacksonville was on everybody's list first on the East Coast as a place to live. Quality of life, beaches, entertainment, affordability, it really...
Árbol caído en la 40 antes de llegar a la 27 avenida. Tienen bloqueada la calle, veo todos los cables de electricidad totalmente destruidos, cables de alta tensión, pero ya están trabajando en ello. Tener mucha precaución con los cables caídos.
Jacksonville Expert Home Advisors, that's a division of Exit Real Estate Gallery. Now, his system outsells 99% of agents nationwide and helps you generate multiple offers and sell your home for the most money possible. Plus, it's like getting an immediate offer on your home, because if your home doesn't sell for the price of the deadline you agree to, you will have it bought for cash, and he offers flexible fees. Find out how much demand your home can command right now. Real estate star Barbara Corcoran only recommends Sean O'Neill in Jacksonville. Call the agent the top builders call, and the only phone call I would make if I lived in Jacksonville. Sean O'Neill today, 904-602-SOLD, or you can go online at wetrustshawn.com. That's wetrustshawn, SHAWN.com.
You're listening to live team coverage of Hurricane Irma. Download the WOKV app so you can listen if your power goes out. This is where Jacksonville's first severe weather news 1045 WOKV.
And if you have the WOKV app, we just sent an alert to that app to let you know what's happening at the Duval County Emergency Operations Center. Is a briefing by Mayor Lenny Curry and other emergency officials. Before we dip into that, I want to let you know we have a new problem spot with flooding on I-95 southbound, just north of the Emerson Street exit. Thankfully, we don't have heavy volume of traffic yet. It's Monday, but this is not a normal Monday in Jacksonville. We just had a hurricane roar through, and we have flooding and tree damage all over northeast Florida and southeast Georgia. And now 95 southbound lanes near Emerson, just north of Emerson, are flooded out and are closed right now. You'll want to take Phillips if you're an emergency responder, or you're headed to any hospital or medical organization around northeast Florida. Hopefully it's just first responders who are out on the roads right now. So let's head down to the Duval County Emergency Operations Center where Mayor Curry is and listen in.
It's serious threat right now, flood threat. People that are in A and B, low-lying areas that are along the river, the recent data shows serious storm surge. Very specific neighborhoods: San Marco, Riverside, downtown Jax, Landon Park, Southampton. Along the river, serious flood risk. If you need help getting out, you can call 630-CITY. If you are under emergency, please call 911. Also, if you need to get out, please put what represents a white flag, anything white, somewhere on your house that can be viewed visibly from outside. We have search and rescue teams ready to deploy. We have state assets coming in. I spoke to the governor this morning. Fish and Wildlife are sending in people. We want to make sure that everybody gets through this safe. I'm going to have Angie now give a very specific update on the weather.
Good morning. My name's Angie and Eddie. I'm an incident meteorologist here at the EOC for Irma. As the mayor said, we have the St. Johns River. It's bad now. It's going to continue to get worse as we go into our high tide this afternoon. And the Main Street Bridge high tide is just before 2 o'clock. Right now, our river along downtown, southward towards Indias, Jacksonville, we're already at historic flood levels that surpass levels we saw back in 1864. So we have already surpassed historic levels. The levels will continue to rise. Right now, for areas that have normal high tide levels, on top of that, expect 4 to 6 feet of inundation. So this is a very serious event. We've issued something called a flash flood emergency that toned over the emergency alert system earlier this morning to highlight this hazard. So this is a significant threat for those along the riverfront.
Good morning. This is Chief Andre Ayu. Let me first say, we train year-round for events like this. We've been collaborating for months during hurricane season, so we have over 1,600 sworn officers prepared to assist today, and additional 3,300 sworn correction and civilian employees. So we're prepared, we have a solid plan, and so we're ready to execute today. Thank you.
So again, be very deliberate. If you need help getting out, call 630 City. If you have an emergency, an immediate emergency, call 911. Something that represents a white flag that can be viewed from the street. If you are in this very isolated but very specific flood threat, which is along the river. With that, we'll take questions.
Some people on Facebook Live asking if they leave, where can they go?
We're asking them to go to the shelters. Can the media get that information back out? Make sure that that runs on a recurring basis. You can also, it's on jacksready.com. It's on jacksready.com, and I would ask all media, TV, radio, print, to get online, get this out, please.
Have you all received for people to get rescued out of their homes flooding?
I can't, Chief. Sure. I can't speak specifically to flooding, but since 1 a.m. this morning, when this averaging about a call a minute, so about 6 calls an hour. I mean, we had, yes, the data that we had spoke to the seriousness of this storm, which is why we had mandatory evacuations in AB low-lying areas, mobile homes, manufactured homes. Recent data shows even more significant surge, which results in more flooding. Okay, thank you all for getting this message out. Let's pray for our brothers and sisters, our neighbors, but most importantly, let's get to work and do everything that we can to help each other right now, okay?
That's Mayor Lenny Curry at the Emergency Operations Center downtown Jacksonville. Serious flooding is expected, already is happening in the downtown area, and we heard from Angie Nietti with the National Weather Service in Jacksonville that it's only going to continue to get worse. High tide is expected 2 o'clock. I can't think of a time during a recent tropical event. Steve Litro is a hurricane expert here on WOKV and the rest of the Cox series of radio stations in Northeast Florida. Dating back to Faye, maybe would be the only time where I've heard a mayor say, if you need to get out, wave a white flag or a pillowcase. I can't recall a mayor giving a warning like that sometime, maybe during Faye when we had some flooding.
Well, this is definitely a storm of first, Rich.
Yeah, it's a dangerous situation in the downtown area, San Marco and Riverside. And we turn to Al Sandrick, the warning coordination meteorologist with the National Weather Service office. And Al, we wanted to bring you in to just kind of expand a little bit more on the flood threat in the downtown area, right at the bend of the St. Johns River. We heard your colleague Angie Nietti warning about it's only going to get worse. It's 9:14 in the morning now, and if high tide is at 2 p.m., what can people in that area expect to see and feel over the coming hours?
Steve and a friend of mine asked, why do we think it's going to get worse? The wind is going to relax a little bit in the St. Johns River area in the downtown from the east. But then, as we say, Francis, Jean, Beryl, when we start getting winds from a southerly direction on the St. Johns River, the entire St. Johns River from downtown to Flagler is like a bathtub. We're going to take all of that water that's 2 feet above normal in the St. Johns River.
It wasn't anybody in the trailer?
And we're going to
No? Oh, thank God. I think it's Juliana's friend, family, right?
You want to do like you weigh about 40
Oh, okay. Thank you. All right, thanks.
All right,
Be careful.
It's down. See, that tree never leaned up to my house.
Counterintuitive that we have a tropical storm, and we're talking about category 2 levels of storm surge. But for all the sophistication of our models, storm surge forecasting is so much of an art. And Steve and I are some of the experts in forecasting the St. Johns River because we've lived with it for so long. What are we looking at? Waters flooding everywhere from about San Marcos all the way down to about Hendricks Avenue, more or less, to Interstate 95.
La traila que le cayó el árbol, ¿de quién es? No. Pero no es la de la hermana de Juliana, ¿va? Ok. Oh, it looks pretty bad in here. Vientos están incrementando.
So, and then again, looking by River City Brewing Company, all along Prudential Drive, those areas right in there should have them. Water around those large condos in the downtown area where the old Marine Corps facilities, for those who've been here for a long time. Okay, they won't get into those, or shouldn't get into those condos themselves because they were built up on higher ground. But there should be water all around them. Why do we not want people to go into the water? You don't know if there's an electric line down. You don't know if a transformer is shorting out and putting electric current into that water. You're best in this situation to stay inside of your structure, and as the mayor said, if you need help, find some type of white object onto the house and they will come for you. But do not physically get into the waters because there may be stray electric current in the water that could be deadly. Get into the highest point of your house. You have a one-story structure, and you have a three-story structure. We've seen videos on the St. Johns River. We've got about 60-foot waves breaking into the riverside area. As we become more southerly and more southeasterly, this wave actually will be directed more towards the St. Marco, the more Sober Hospital area, and that's where the tide will actually be even a little worse there in the San Marco area. So listen, this is unprecedented. We know in 1846 we had a very, very similar hurricane that went by Key West, maybe as a Category 5 hurricane, but at least a Category 4. We don't know exactly where it's going to landfall on the west coast of Florida, but we do know that it moved east of Appalachia Bay. So very, very similar hurricanes. And in fact, one time we were talking to about the possibility of urban flooding in this area, and we've certainly been highlighting this for days. So no one's being surprised that flooding is occurring in this area. And to be honest with you, I have been studying the St. Johns River for, what would you say, Steve, 21 years?
Yeah, just about.
These water levels surprised me somewhat. I did not think that the nor'easter would get the water as high. We've got 2 feet of additional water all the way down into Hastings, and all of that water would be pushed north. Again, the St. Johns River. Think about children, a child coming back, and that child rocks back and forth. They push a wave of water back and forth in the back tunnel. Irma is that child now, and she's pushing that water north from Alaska, Hastings, Pebble Point, northward to downtown. So there's a wave of what we call stage surfboards that's up north, and the storm surge model does not really handle that very well. That's why we have a local office and local expertise like Steve and I have in the St. Johns River. So right now, the way to do it, state of water inundations along the actual riverfront banks, 3 to 4 feet of water in the deepest places in the streets. Do not get into the water because there may be electrical charge. Stay in your house if you're safe. And if you need help, make sure you do what the mayor said. Some type of white object so that they can see you and get to you.
Right. Can you speak to a little bit to how long it might take to flush this out and get past this problem? That's what we're looking at.
Right. It's going to take a good number of high tide once people are slowly out of the river. But once we get past this high tide, and we use the wind stress, it will be all pushed up into downtown. So now what's happening is that shallow has stopped moving inside the bathtub, and the water levels roughly back down to that it's a level that's even, that's higher than normal. And with the sea surge, I guess it was back in 2011, in October. I don't remember the exact year because they kind of blend together a little bit.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, but that big nor'easter that we had, and we had high water levels in the St. Johns River, and neighborhoods like Southampton were flooding for days. And yes, that is going to happen. It's going to take a very, very long time to get this water out of the St. Johns River. Even when it flattens out, we've got record water levels in the St. Johns River. And again, we've got a very, very robust system of conservation on the St. Johns River that were put in a couple of years ago called the reports. And we've got to thank the Jacksonville Maritime Exchange for making that happen. And again today, that has been instrumental in measuring the river and allowing speak positively about what's going on with the river. Steve was actually through this in 2004, and even during his day, we were flying lines in rivers because we had no instrumentation. Now you can watch those gauges, and I do. I see water levels flattening out, beginning to go down to the south, and water is moving north.
So threat is looming for anyone who has property along the St. Johns River, San Marco area, Riverside. We heard about 4 to 6 feet of inundation, and you say it would take several tide cycles, but it's the great...
Wind levels decrease and flatten out in the St. Johns River, and probably just to be thankful in most places. Remember, most of the St. Johns River has a pretty big bluff on it, and it's places where we've through creeks and that tend to be lower. So you think of Deep Creek down by Hastings, Dunn's Creek all the way down by Alaska, White Creek over in Jacksonville, Miller Creek, Beaches Creek, all of those types of creeks are lower. That's when tide levels are 55 or they're solid high for an extended period of time. So again, the Southampton neighborhood is a place I would really look to have problems for days with this tide as the water level goes down. And I do have to speak to our friends down in St. Augustine. We're just paying all this attention to downtown Jacksonville and Raymond Snow, but the serious impact to everybody right now in St. Augustine as well. And people need to stay safe down there and follow the advice of emergency management.
Yeah, don't get into the water at all. I mean, that's the worst thing you can possibly do. We heard about a rescue that took place in Baker County as someone drove into what was described by our reporter as just a little bit of water, and all of a sudden started to take away the vehicle. Closing thoughts, Steve, for Al, because we have Kathy Richardson from Clay Electric on the other line. We got to get a power restoration update.
My only closing thought is that this city is extremely fortunate to have you looking out for you. Thank you so much for all that wonderful information. You guys are doing fantastic. Send my best to all the staff.
We appreciate that, Al Sandrick and the National Weather Service team. See, that's why he's our hurricane expert, Steve Litro, here on News 104.5 WOKV and the rest of the Cox Media Group radio stations. I wanted to immediately move to the power outage story. We've heard from JEA. We're in touch with Florida Power and Light as well. Kathy Richardson joins us from Clay Electric Cooperative. What a storm it's been. It's not over yet. We still have winds that are over the area. Can you give us just kind of a big picture, 30,000-foot view
is down due to the storm, so we are telling everyone to report it online. ClayElectric.com is the link at the very bottom of the page. The direct link is outage.clayelectric.com. We do have crews that will
anything on the conditions and how they may be looking about how soon you can begin to get crews out. We still have sustained winds that are very strong, and we know you're not going to put anyone in harm's way from a crew perspective.
No. I just know that we still have some storm going on right now that we're not putting anybody out with any restoration right now.
Can you at least walk us through the beginning phases of the process? Do you have to kind of assess the scene and see